Hey everybody, this is meteorologist Sam Schreier. We're doing a Facebook Live because there's a lot of snow out there. So we're going to start up towards Denver, cover everybody from Castle Rock to Monument Hill to Colorado Springs and all areas south. Commutes are terrible all the way up north to northeast El Paso County. This pocket, especially to Callahan, was seeing a lot longer snow or a lot heavier snow for longer. And again, it's bad. So this is a Facebook Live. Your questions will be fed to me through my earpiece, so we will answer them as you get going. Now, let me just kind of start the situation here. Again, heavy snow from Denver to Centennial to Castle Rock, but let's start with Monument Hill. We're going to look in from Palmer Lake North on Highway 105. It's bad. I-25 is bad. Commute times from downtown Colorado Springs to Denver Tech Center are over 2 hours. It's about 2 hours and 25 minutes, which is way, way more than normal. Usually the downtown Colorado Springs commute to Tech Center is about 50 minutes on a good day. This is our camera basically up by Greenland Road. This is on I-25, and it clearly is bad. CDOT has been able to carve out about a lane or two north and southbound where people are getting a little bit better commutes, but man, getting the right side, the right lane of this lane on the right side, it's bad out there. People are driving a lot slower on the left side, and this is actually southbound, so the car's going away from us there. We're heading into Colorado Springs. A little wider view across town, Highway 24 from Woodman to Falcon East. Heavy driving snowfall. Now, all of Colorado Springs is seeing snow from Briargate through our Rockrimmon studio, Manitou Springs, the Broadmoor, down to Fort Carson, down to Widefield, out all up and down Powers and Academy. Continuous heavy snow and all the roads. Starting to get pretty slick out there through the Springs. It's starting to look like we will easily see at least an inch of snow, but probably more to the northeast sides of town. That's where that 2-inch mark comes a lot more likely. And those of you who live east of El Paso and Pueblo County into the plains, from Eads down to Lamar, light snow falling. That's starting to catch up to Highway 50, but more of it up to Eads, and we're talking Kiowa County. That also spreads up to Ordway. So Highway 50 starting to get snow in between Fowler and La Junta. And Pueblo, at least on Doppler, the snow is starting to catch up to you, but we're not there yet. Our Powers and Carefree camera, if we can bring that up in a second, actually looked like it might be whiteout conditions. If we're waiting on a different camera, that's okay. Through the city of Colorado Springs, we'll occasionally take some more cameras. We'll just kind of let me know with our director in our ear. But my producer, Tom, is going to feed me questions. Tom, are there any questions so far? What about in Pueblo? Pueblo, you are just starting to see snow on our Doppler, but not very much might actually be making it to the ground. So Pueblo, as we approach 8 o'clock, this heavy snow will make it down to you, and it will start likely getting a little slicker on the roads. But Pueblo, for now, it's kind of just the absolute very start of the event. This is a much bigger deal for the Springs at the moment, but this will continue to go to Pueblo over the next half hour, get stronger, get to be a heavier snow. Pueblo, your snow totals are somewhere between a dusting to up to an inch, maybe at the biggest, and eventually through the mid-morning and early afternoon, it slides south to Trinidad. The snow in the plains will also move south. Let's do another question, Tom. Have you got one for us? Amounts in Colorado Springs. Let me back up to the Springs a little bit. So this is a closer view in of town. So from Pike View, let's go Woodman Road south along I-25. This corridor of the Springs, I think at least an inch, starting to look pretty lightly. You go towards Manitou to the Broadmoor, 1 to 2 inches. Pretty good. Now you go to the northeast side of town. We're talking Powers up to Woodman Road, 2 to 3 inches. Now starting to look like it absolutely could fall. Closer to the airport, you guys are kind of in that 1 to 2 inch band. So Security Widefield around a dusting to an inch, maybe a little bit more. Basically from Monument Hill south, the totals go down, but to the northeast sides of town, Woodman Road to Powers, I think we could start to see a little bit more accumulation up there. Let's take a look at Powers and Dublin. Okay, Powers and Dublin. People are slowly creeping to a stop, which is good. But look at the road. Completely snow covered here. In all lanes, everybody is slowly creeping in and out towards the intersection. It looked like that car that drove by slid a little bit here. So everybody is trying to take their time. Again, it's bad all over. This was Powers and Dublin. So the east, northeast sides of town are pretty bad out there. In a second, let's take another camera on I-25 at some point here. I know we're just kind of punching different stuff around because I do want to show that up to the Monument Hill area, it's bad. This is actually over towards our Colorado Springs camera, I believe, on top of our studio. And visibility is well under a mile. In fact, even under a quarter of a mile. This is basically looking out at I-25, which is kind of just across the parking lot from our studio. Back into our radar, continued heavy snow falling all throughout Colorado Springs. Monument Hill continues to be the area I'm a little bit more concerned about because heavy snow from Monument through Larkspur to Castle Rock has caused a ton of problems over the course of the morning. Tom, a couple more questions? A lot of them. What about Peyton? So we're talking kind of about in eastern El Paso County. Let me get off screen and I'm going to zoom this camera out just a little bit, try to cover a bit more of El Paso. So just me moving around a little bit here. If you live out towards Peyton on Highway 94, Highway 24 east as well. So just trying to cover a little bit more of our bases out east. Continued heavy snowfall will make 94 slick. All surrounding small roads east very slick. Falcon to Callahan to Eastonville. Peyton, by the time this is all done, easily somewhere between 1 to 3 inches. It's definitely possible. I think Callahan, Eastonville, Falcon, somewhere between 3 to 4. Maybe not quite as much for Falcon, but still, good heavy snow is coming. Let's get another question, Tom. Patty asked if she should wait for this afternoon to drive from Denver to Pueblo. Yep. As long as you can wait today to get on the road, the better, because the afternoon is when the snow should be done, basically from Pueblo north. From Pueblo south, the southern mountains down to Trinidad, snow will still be falling to about 1, 2, even 3 o'clock. So if you're driving to Denver from Pueblo, from Colorado Springs, if you can wait towards lunchtime, but especially a couple hours after that, you're going to be in much better shape. That is absolutely the best call. Canyon City, Cripple Creek. Cripple Creek, you seem to be scooting out away from this snow. I think that with the amounts coming through Teller County, at least some snowfall is going to make it into Cripple Creek, but your totals will probably stay below an inch or two. So not that much is coming. Woodland Park finally getting some good snow, so your totals now have a much better chance of reaching up towards that 2-3 inch mark by the time this is all done, closer to lunch. Canyon City, let me try to move the map down a little bit and show you guys. You're not seeing any snowfall yet. Canyon City starting to see a few flurries out to Penrose, and actually Highway 115 from Fort Carson down to Penrose starting to get a little snowfall to come as flurries. Canyon City, I think that you probably will see under an inch. Okay, most of the snow is going to occur into eastern Fremont County. We're actually starting to get some snow over Pueblo West and Pueblo a little bit better. So eastern Fremont County, basically east of Canyon City, this is where more of that inch, maybe 2, could fall by the time everything is done. So Canyon City, I think it's going to be okay, but even an inch on your cold roads could make things slick. Sure, people asking about the timing of the storm. Excuse me, been talking a lot today. All right, so I'll zoom out a little bit and we'll try to help answer that question. I'll actually start up towards a real wide view. Just give me 1 second, everybody. I kind of adjust the map a little bit. All right, so Denver, if you look up at the map, actually, there's starting to be some dry air kicking in on the northeast side of town. So Denver probably still has about another, 7:40 this morning? About another hour or two, so not too far off from 9:30 to 10. Denver should start being done. So that means Monument Hill. I have Monument Hill being pretty much done with snowfall around 11 o'clock, maybe a little bit left towards noon, but around 11 o'clock. So Colorado Springs, what does that mean for us? I think that about 10 to 11, we'll actually start to see the snow finish off a little bit because Monument Hill, with this north wind, it piles up over the hill first, and then whatever's left comes down into the springs. So while we still get snow over Monument Hill, it'll stop first. In Colorado Springs, again, Springs, the snow stops around 10 to 11. Monument Hill, it's around 11, maybe noon at the latest. Pueblo, you're probably going to see light to sometimes heavy snowfall up through noon. Around that time frame, those of you who live out east, La Junta, your snowfall should stop around kind of like the noon hour, maybe to 12:30. Lamar, it's going to be a little quicker moving through you. More of it's going to be closer to La Junta in the Pueblo County line. So that leads us south. Colorado City, Walsenburg, Trinidad. This should start over you within the next half hour, 45 minutes maybe, closer to Walsenburg. And down to Trinidad, it'll follow into the mid-morning, and that won't stop in Trinidad, let's say, till about 2 in the afternoon, maybe 3 in the afternoon. The wet mountains of Sangre de Cristos will probably keep seeing snowfall, especially the Sangre de Cristos, out to about 3, even 4 o'clock. So basically from north-south, it stops around lunchtime. Pueblo south, we're talking like Colorado City, Walsenburg to Trinidad. That's where it's going to stop more into the early afternoon, like 1, 2, even 3 o'clock. How does Walsenburg look? We're getting asked. Walsenburg, got you in the 1 to 3 inch range. So for Pueblo south, you start to get kind of this natural little rise or two, especially by Walsenburg, then again down to Trinidad. So about 1 to 3 inches in Walsenburg. Trinidad, I have you at about 1 to 3. Aguilar, Colorado City could easily be 1 to 2, maybe 1 to 3. Depends on how much snow is still left as this band starts to make its way south. But we have Walsenburg down to Trinidad in and around that 1 to 3 inch mark. Probably more to the mountains, the Wets and the Sangre de Cristos to our west, 2, 3, 4, even 5 inch totals into some of those mountains. Another question, Tom. Accumulation Guard of the Gods. That's going to be a beautiful place to go get some photos. Accumulation of Guard of the Gods, probably somewhere between about 1 to 2 inches of fresh snow, because again, this does stop in the Springs at around 10 o'clock to 11, so really that's only about 2.5 hours out from now. We're about to 8 o'clock in the morning. So that'll leave us with a couple inches at Guard of the Gods, but this is not a huge snow. This is no 6-inch snow for Colorado Springs, anything like that. Tom, let's take a look at a camera up north. Let's just kind of check in traffic-wise, and I'll actually step off, and I wanted to bring up some of our drive times. It's 7:43. When we get a second, we'll bring a camera up, and we'll just kind of know what's going on. But here's the commute times right now to Denver. We are looking at 180 minutes pretty much, and an average of 20 miles per hour, not 19. Now 182 minutes. Up to Colorado Springs, up to Denver from Colorado Springs. The gap time has actually shrunk by a couple minutes, but it's worse from downtown to the gap, and the gap is still really bad. Highway 83 is now to 80 minutes, so if you wanted to take 83 or 105, that is no longer going to be something that helps, especially looks bad on 83. So if you have to get to Denver, I would do I-25, but just know it's going to take you like 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Is that it with my timing there? Almost 3 hours now to get to Denver. This is probably one of the longest commute times I've seen. So downtown Colorado Springs to Denver, DIA, that's a 3-hour commute. That is bad. Here's why. This is County Line Road. It is still snowing heavily. It is socked in with snow. We are looking at snow-packed roads. Thankfully, people are starting to get off the road a little bit here. Snow plows are getting in, trying to knock this off. That was a plow right there, doing the best they can. I saw maybe a camera over by, it was a Dublin or something on the east side of town. If we can pop that up in a little bit. This is Woodman and Lexington. So getting over just a little bit more east, we're trying to kind of take some looks around. This tells the story, too, that it's just slick and slow everywhere. Snow-covered, snow-packed roads, making all your commutes pretty bad. Back into our network, just kind of a run-through for anybody still tuning in. Denver through Centennial, Castle Rock to Monument. Heavy, continuous snow that spreads east out to I-70 to Lyman. We had some bad accidents over the weekend on I-70 east. Probably going to see a couple more of those later on this morning. Highway 24, you need to be super careful east. That includes Highway 20 or Highway 94 east. Colorado Springs itself, all of the city is getting snow. The commutes over Monument Hill just getting slammed with over and over continuous snow. But really, it's just about as heavy to the north and east sides of Colorado Springs. Powers, Academy, both completely covered in snowfall. Powers and Academy as they turn up north to 83. Both very nasty drives, and that includes downtown. Starting to get better pileups on the ground. Over to the airport, we could be starting to see some delays out of Colorado Springs. Denver, for sure, is having trouble with how much snow's falling there. Manitou Springs to the Broadmoor. Live on the west side of town. You're getting some heavy snow. Your accumulations start to go up over 2 inches, probably by the time this is all done. Tom, at 7:45, let's do a few more questions here. Calhan, Simla, Lyman. So we just talked about that a little bit here. Basically, Highway 24 East has been seeing a pretty continuous snow. So from Falcon to Calhan to Lyman, all drives east on Highway 24 are going to be very slick and very slow. And actually, Highway 24 from the Springs to Woodland Park and then 67 up north, you don't want to be on that stretch of roadway either. it's pretty bad outside. So everybody just kind of take care on all drives through town. And actually what's been nice is a lot of you are sending me pictures. I've been getting a lot on my phone, on my Twitter account, the KOA Twitter account. That has been very helpful. Bree just sent us a message, and she said visibility just from her drive from our Rock Rimmon studio, Colorado Springs, east on Woodman a little bit. She said whiteout visibility. So even more local, right in towards like the University Village by UCCS, that's pretty bad too. Tom, another couple questions. Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to do a traffic camera just to kind of help everybody out. This is Highway 94 in Mark Shuffle. So we're getting way out east into town, but we did have some people asking, how are the drives out east towards Peyton, towards Lyman, towards Calhoun? Again, Mark Shuffle and what am I looking at here? Mark Shuffle and 94 in Mark Shuffle. Completely snow covered. There are some tracks in the roads where the plows have tried to knock things off and the cars themselves are doing a good job. But I mean, every bit of pavement is below freezing and it's holding onto that snow. So that was a great camera. Tom, let's do about 1 to 2 more questions because we do have on-air cut-ins. We're also continuing. Okay, Monument / Black Forest. Monument, your snow by the time this is done is easily going to stack up to 2 to 3 inches at a minimum. With how much we're seeing, it's got to be, by the time this is done, again, over 2 to 3 inches minimum. So maybe like 4, 5, 6. If we're not, that's not out of the question at this point. Calhoun is also seeing some big totals. Black Forest, who was asking that? That was like probably by the time this is done, 3, 4, 5 inches over Black Forest because of how heavy it's coming. In Colorado Springs, your totals downtown, I would say now it looks like an easy 1 to 2 inches. Briargate North, 2 to 3 inches now look much more likely. That also goes out to the northeast side of town, kind of by Woodman to Powers. 2 to 3 inches now look a lot more likely. The airport, 1 to 2 inches. The mountains to the west of the city, so anybody west of I-25, 2 inches at least, maybe 3 in a couple spots over like by the Broadmoor. That would be another good example where that terrain could spark up a little heavier snow. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, everybody. We thank you for your questions. We'll be here as long as the snow comes. Remember, it's going to keep going for a few more hours, but we're just waiting for this to back off in Denver. Once that starts, we'll know the end is not too horribly far away.